What's up, light bearers? Welcome to Light Tap, a Vivid Said podcast. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Emily.
And today we're talking about...
sharing the gospel.
That's right. We're going to talk about sharing Jesus. Applause. A little ASMR.
Oh, like that.
So, we're talking about sharing the gospel because this is what this podcast is about.
This is what your brand is about.
Share the gospel. And this is what we have been doing in this podcast. Obviously, there's different ways to share the gospel with people. And I like to say, and I like to, when I started the brand, this is like the main thing that I want to do, right? There's no glory for me. There's no, none of that. It's all to share the gospel with different people. And so, that's what we want to do. And as Christians, I think that this should be our main focus, which is to share Jesus with everybody else. I want all of my friends to know about Jesus, and I want the rest of the world to know about Jesus. So we either share it by wearing it, or we share it by using our voices, which is what we're doing in this podcast, or we're sharing with our actions. And so today's Bible verse that we're going to read is going to be John 1, verse 40 through 42.
Okay.
Emily will read in English, and I'll read it in Spanish.
It says, one of the two who heard what John said, and as a result followed Jesus, was Andrew, Simon, Peter's brother. He first looked for and found his own brother Simon and told him, "We have found the Messiah," which translated means the Christ. Andrew brought Simon to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, the son of John. You shall be called Cephas," which is translated to Peter.
En español, Juan 1, 40-42 dice, uno de ellos era Andrés, el hermano de Simón Pedro. Lo primero que hizo Andrés fue buscar a su hermano Simón. Cuando lo encontró, le dijo, "Hemos encontrado al Mesías", es decir, al Cristo. Entonces Andrés llevó a Simón a donde estaba Jesús. Cuando Jesús vio a Simón, le dijo, "Tú eres Simón, hijo de Juan, pero ahora te vas a llamar Cefas", es decir, Pedro. So, this Bible verse, I really am trying to spend more time with God in His Word, because of obviously we're busy human beings in general, right? It's super hard to find time to spend time with God specifically in His Word. But this week I was like, no, por lo menos I have to do it at least once this week.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what happened. And I actually got this Bible verse from this week's reading. And I found this super, super interesting. And in our stories, if you follow on Instagram, which you should, I shared with you guys, who do you want to share Jesus with today? And a lot of people, answered, and they gave off names or description of who they wanted to. And that was super cool. And that's the main goal, for you to share Jesus with everybody else. And so this is a perfect example of, one, what sharing Jesus looks like, and two, what happens to the person that you share Jesus with. And in this Bible verse, it's talking about John. John is one of the disciples. John meets Jesus first. And he gets converted, and he's like, "I'm going to follow you. Wherever you go, I'm going to go, and I'm going to go with you, and I'm going to follow you, and I'm going to be a disciple." And as soon as he knows about Jesus, he's like, "I cannot keep this
I need to go find my brother. I need to go spread the word."
Exactly. Who do I love?
Yeah.
Who do I care about? Who do I want to share this great news and great experience and great love with? Who is it? My brother. And he goes and he finds Simon. Imagínate la confianza, because I could have been like, "Oh, that's awesome for you." But I'm saying here, y él dijo, "No, if you thought it was great, then I think it will be great too. Let me go with you." And then the moment of, well, we can just talk about that right now. And then I'll talk about the other moment, because the other moment is super special to me too. So I feel like whenever you have great news, right? Somebody gets engaged. Yeah. Somebody's going to have a baby. Somebody...
You want to spread it. You want to talk about it.
Yeah, get a job.
The good news.
Got into that school, whatever. The first thing that you think of is who who am I gonna share this good news with?
Exactly. Who can I share my joy with? You know?
Yeah. And so, have you had that where you're like, estoy súper enamorada de Dios, like, I cannot believe it that I just immediately, like, no puedo esperar más, tengo que ir ahorita.
I think everybody experiences that when they first come to Christ, when they first accept Jesus into their hearts.
So you were born in the church.
I was born into
Christianity.
Like,
when did you meet God?
So,
or had that experience, that encounter, not experience, the encounter with God?
I think the first time, because obviously I was really young, I was just, the Bible to me when I was little was teach as in like historietas, like stories of history. That's how it was teaching me. Stories that happened in the past that we can learn from. That's how it was teaching me. The first time that I experienced, you know, the presence of the Lord, where I felt like, oh, I'm connected to him, I was young. I was like maybe 12 or 13 years old. And that was the first time I remember our youth leader, he called all of the youth up, and he was just like, the youth, sorry. He called everyone up and he was like, I want to pray over all of you guys. And if anybody wants to accept Jesus Christ, you can do so with me now.
Okay.
And they had already talked to us about it. They were like, yes, you're Christian, but don't forget the most important step. You need to accept him. As soon as you feel like you have enough knowledge, and you have a full understanding of what that means. Then you can go ahead and accept Jesus Christ into your heart, because you're inviting him into your life. And I felt at that time I was ready, and that was the first time I felt the Holy Spirit, and Jesus walked beside me from then on.
So what was that a moment where you were like?
That was the first moment where I felt the responsibility of being a Christian.
But what was like a moment donde like the love was so hard? That moment was like so unique and special and just like out of this world, where you were like, I cannot wait any longer.
That was the moment.
Need to. Okay.
Right after that moment, obviously it was like on a weekend. I had friends from church and we had an event. And I had been telling them to come to church for like forever. And I remember right after that I had that experience, I told two of my friends from high school, I was like, hey, y'all need to come on this trip. We're gonna go out. We're gonna spend like a couple days. And I remember I convinced my mom to pay for their ticket to go. And I was like, they need to come.
Yeah.
And that was the first time where I was just like, no, like whatever I experienced, I want you to experience it too.
Yeah.
So I actually dragged two friends of mine from high school to join us, you know. And thankfully they experienced what I experienced. And it was awesome, because I was just like, I never thought I could help somebody see that, especially being so young. I was like, I can't explain it to you. I just know. Awesome. And thankfully, you know, they were really good friends, and they were like, okay, we trust you. Like, if you say it's good, then let's go. Let's do this. Good. We're down. So that was like one of the first times where I was like, oh, okay, like I want other people to feel what I'm feeling, and I want to share this joy and love that I felt. That was the very first time.
That's the thing that it's just like, that's like super great, right? Because they also like trusted you just like Simon trusted Andrew.
Exactly.
And was like, all right, if you think it's good, then it'll be good for me.
Yeah.
I had two experiences. One was when first cuando apenas había salido God's Not Dead, the movie.
Oh, the movie, yes.
So we went to the movie theater, and I think it was like a group of us. I remember it was like a group of us, and we went to the movie theater, and at the end of the movie, it says, like, text everybody you know, God's not dead. And, like, that movie, like, touched me, like, really, like, a lot, because it was, like, about a kid or, like, a student in college who was, like, against the professor or whatever, and he had to, like, stand up to this professor who was, like, saying all these things against Jesus and against God and everything else. And so he was like, I don't care what you say. I don't care how you can intimidate me. I don't care what your position is and what is mine, but I do care that I'm going to represent God all the way. And this is what I believe in. And I don't care if you believe in it or not, but you're not going to move my faith, basically. And so at the end of the movie, it said like, oh, we dare you guys or whatever to send a message to all of your friends. And so that moment was like, it wasn't like out of this world, like, oh my God, I had this encounter, but even watching that movie really like encouraged my faith. And I was like, I need to share this right now with everybody. And it was like a mass, like, I copy pasted to like everybody. I was like, oh, y'all gonna know about Jesus tonight. So that was one. And then another one is I've had plenty of these, but it's basically the same thing. So in the mornings when I'm driving to work, for the most part, I like to listen to preachings. Just to start off my day in that way. Unless like I am like, okay, I don't want to listen to a preaching today, I'm gonna listen to a different podcast, then I do that. But for the most part, me gusta empezar my day with word, especially if I know that I'm gonna be busy that day, I'm not gonna have the time to read for myself. At least I want to like have something coming.
Yeah.
So I've had moments in my car where I'm like legit on my way to work with like makeup on and everything, and I'm just like bawling. And like I share that because I'm like, if I'm experiencing this, if this touched my heart in such a big way, I know that I can touch somebody else's heart, and I want them to be touched and to experience Jesus right in the morning. As you start off your day, like, know that Jesus is there with you, know that he sees you, that he loves you, and that he is there to respond to those prayers de que ni lo has dicho pero lo tienes en tu corazón.
Exactly.
So I think that it's like super, super important for us to share Jesus with others. And the next part that I was like, okay, I really love this verse because Andrew brings Simon to Jesus, right? So he's like, hey friend, let's go to Jesus. Jesus looks at him and says, okay, you are Simon, the son of Judas. So lo llama por su nombre. John. Oh, no, not Judas.
Son of John. Not Judas. Son of John.
Not Judas. So he's like, okay, I call you by your name, so I know you personally.
Yeah. I know who you are.
I know who you are. You are the son of John. I know where you come from. Now you should be called Cephas, which is Peter. And so to me, it's like such a moment. Because it was like, not only did you come to experience, okay, es como que te lleva a un concierto, which we went this week. Es como que te lleva a un concierto and you experience the concert. I'm experiencing the fullness. I'm experiencing the miracle. I'm experiencing the glory. It's completely different to come and experience it and watch it and see it happen. It's a different thing cuando it calls you personally. And it tells you, I know you.
And it touches your heart and soul.
Yes, I know you. I know your name. I see you. I know you. I know where you come from. I know like your hurts. I know your past. I know your good days, and I know your bad days. And I'm calling you a new thing. So I know you right now, your present state. I know your past. But this is where
starting
I'm
from
calling
this day
from.
On, this is what
this
you
is
are
your
now.
new identity in me. And that alone, like, that is what is like amazing to me, because it's like that's the whole point. We want to share Jesus so you can have an encounter with Jesus, and so that he can speak to you directly because he knows you directly, and for you to have that moment. It's not about like, ay, qué bonito, like all the little good feelings of it. Pero sino es like that experience of like knowing like, hey, he sees me. The creator of the world, the creator of the universe, the beginning, the end, the rey de reyes, he knows me. He knows my name.
And it's like, it's almost like a whole blank new slate. Like, he's like, I know who you are. I acknowledge who you are. I'm not saying you have to change who you are. Like, he's like, I embrace you as you are. But from now on, because you accepted me, this is your new identity starting from now forward.
Yeah, so like let's say us, we were darkness at one point, and now we get to be the salt and light. So yeah, that was like amazing to me, that it's like somebody wrote a different story, and that to me just reminds me of like, you know, like when my mom's friend, she invited us to church. And like this is a cool like little moment because she invited us, right? She shared Jesus with us, and we went, and I got to experience God, and now I know Jesus. And it's like that moment, you know, like it really changed my life from 15 years to now. it's like my life is completely different because of that moment.
Or because you were invited. Somebody actually thought about you and they were like,
somebody shared Jesus with me.
If you want to come, hang out with us. Like, I just want you to experience what I felt.
Yeah.
And imagine that one little moment, that one invitation.
Little moment. Como
forever.
Little moment, right?
Yeah.
Nada le costó a ella. She didn't have to pay to share Jesus with me. She didn't have to, in otros countries and things like that. It's like against the law to talk about Jesus. It's like, people are being persecuted and stuff. And it's like, no le costó nada decirme and share Jesus with us. And now, like, that one little moment made a big difference. It changed
the trajectory of your whole life.
Yeah. And so that's what we want to do with Vivitset. We want to share Jesus, and that's why we use this platform. Sí, hablamos de cosas también, like whatever. We talk about, am I the asshole? But for the most part, we are here to talk about Jesus. Yeah. And so, we are going to move on to the segment, Am I the Asshole?
Okay.
So, Emily?
All right, so it says, Am I the asshole for gifting my niece a book about Jesus?
No, you're not biased. I'm biased. No, you're not an asshole.
Okay.
I'm biased.
So, again, we don't know, like, the people that comment if they're Christian or not. Because it's a general subreddit. It's an Am I the Asshole subreddit. It's not a Christian subreddit. No. It's not an atheist subreddit. It's just a general subreddit for all types and genres of people.
Yeah.
So, the end result is not the asshole. So we already know, like, you're like, no, not the asshole.
No, pero sin yo, no es porque we let ourselves guide by this, but just by the title. We give our own little perspective, right?
Yeah. Okay. So it says, I, 33 female, have quite a large book collection. My niece, 9 female, loves to read the books I have whenever she comes over. So for her birthday last week, I decided that I would gift her my entire collection of kids' books that my mother gave me when I was a child.
That's cute.
That's so nice. A few that were included were antique children's books that originally belonged to my mother's grandmother.
Wow.
They were gifted to me when my mother passed a couple years ago, but I don't want children of my own, so I thought it would be better to pass them down. My niece loved her gift and there were no problems at the party. However, a few days later, my brother-in-law, 35 male, and sister, 32 female, called and started to yell at me over one of the books that I had gifted. It was one of the older books and it was about Jesus. They were upset because they are both atheists and didn't think that it was appropriate to give my niece a book about religion. I understood, but it was never my intention to try and sway my niece to religion. I'm an atheist as well, and since the book was an heirloom item, I just wanted to pass it down. I explained that mom had wanted me to pass all the books down, but they still didn't care. Now they won't let me see my niece unless I apologize, but I don't think I really did anything wrong. I and my sister weren't even raised religious, so I don't really understand the issue. Am I the asshole for gifting my niece a book about Jesus?
No.
I think even from a standpoint of like not religious, like a general standpoint, I don't think so, because she even said, like, my whole family, including myself, were atheists. This is a book that his mom gave him, and he was just like, I was just trying to pass down an heirloom. He didn't really see it as like, oh, this is a book about God, learn and accept it. Exactly. So I don't think so, because he didn't really mean it as in like, open your eyes to religion, when she didn't even believe it herself. Maybe she didn't even feel some type of way because, this was a book that his mom had gave him and gave her. I'm so sorry. And clearly, like, it was something that was sentimental to her, and she was like, I really don't have plans on having kids to give these books to, but I love my niece, and this was something that was meant to be passed down. I don't think she really did with any malice. I bet you she didn't even know every single book that was in that collection.
Quizás ni se acordaba.
Exactly. So I'm just like, I don't think so. I don't think that she was the asshole.
I don't think so either. I don't think that she's the asshole. One, because again, like you were saying, I don't think she probably realized, oh, I'm gonna look through every specific book that is in here. Like, no, it was just like her mom gave her this whole collection, and she says here, I explained that mom had wanted me to pass all the books down, not pick and choose which ones you want to pass down, but no, choose all of them, give all of them, and pass them down. And because she didn't have any kids, she thought that her niece was gonna love him. And that to me makes her not the asshole, because it was like she wasn't selfish. Like, oh, este heirloom se muere conmigo.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna have any kids. So, she was like, you know what? Even though they were not gifted to my brother, or no, to my sister. I'm sorry, they were not gifted to my sister. They were gifted to me. Mm-hmm. But I'm still gonna let my sister's legacy continue with the heirloom,
because this is coming from their mother's grandmother. So imagine that's like three generations that we know of.
And the power, Lord Jesus, I'm like, okay, I have a book that I want to pass down, because the power of like una grandmother back or great grandmother that was like,
praying for her future generations and everything.
If one thing I'm gonna pass down, yes, I'm gonna pass all of this, but I'm gonna make sure I include Jesus in it. Mm-hmm. And so quizás ellos son atheists, and no quizás, they are atheists. They talk about it. The original poster is an atheist. The brother-in-law and the sister are atheists, but we don't know if the story changes with the niece when she reads this book and she encounters Jesus for herself. And now she can be the person that makes that change within her family, who can be bold enough to talk about Jesus.
Can you imagine all of this because the grandmother, the mother, they all were like...
Well, not the mother, because the mother was an atheist too.
Yes, but regardless, whether they were atheists or not, they kept Jesus in their family by spreading the gospel through this one little book. Yeah. And it's not even a book about like for adults. This is a children's book. So they were like, we gonna start them young. And whether they accept it or not, that's their decision, right? Yeah. But we're gonna plant the seed, and we're gonna put our faith and trust, whether we're here or not. We're going to make sure that this continues. Yeah. And I think that's wonderful. Yeah. I think that's such a special thing to do, And
I think it's just like, okay, like, maybe your beliefs are not the same beliefs, and that's respected. But just because of that, it's not like somebody's responsibility that it wasn't like the sister, the mom of the niece, she shouldn't have gotten mad at her sister because there was a book of Jesus there. She didn't put it there.
That wasn't even like a book that she bought. This is a book that was passed down for generations. Passed down.
So if she had such a huge issue that she's calling her sister and being like, why did you give my daughter this book, blah, 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 why didn't you just take it out? Exactly. Because you didn't want it to be on your conscience. Because you want it to be on the other person. So no, you're not the asshole, ma'am.
And I'm just thinking like, okay, these books were passed on from the grandmother to the mother, right? Don't tell me that the mother never read this book to the sisters. Like, they didn't know what this book was. I am positive that they knew what this book was, and they've seen it before, and they've read it 1,000 times with their mom. And just from my point of view, like, seeing as, this is something that their mother left behind for them. Yeah. I would almost see it as a sentimental thing, because that's something that my mother, not that she instilled it in me, but it's like a emotional memory.
And she said here that was one of the older books. See, it was one of the older books, and it was about Jesus. So I'm pretty sure that throughout time, in the generations que se han pasado, people added more books to it. But that was one of the OG books.
That's why it was called an heirloom.
Why wouldn't you have it? Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you want it? Or like, I'm reading a comment right now that says, not the asshole, but you could apologize for the honest mistake. Ask for the religious book back, since they are heirlooms, and give them when niece is grown up as a familial pieces. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, I had read something somewhere here. Oh, no, she had put on here, yes, maybe I could have run some books past my sister so she could weed out if there were any books. But why would you want to do that? I don't know. In the stage that I'm in now, if maybe it's something that I didn't believe in, like, I will want to see that, just because I'm like, man, this book has been in my family for so long. And so I'm just like, I don't know.
And then it even says right here, the OP responded and said, I did offer to take it back until she's older, but they don't want her to have it at all. So not even when she's older, like, they don't even want her to have it as an heirloom. They're just like, we don't want this, period, in her life. Like, to me, I'm even kind of like, you're stunting that girl, because that's not right now that she's young. Yes, that's a choice for you to make. Because because you're the parent and you know what's best for your child.
Just like
correct?
us, like we're raising our kid to know about Jesus right now.
Exactly. But when this child is older, when she can make her own decisions, I don't think that's a choice for them to make. When she's older, I think the aunt can still take the book back and be like, I'm gonna hold on to it. Thank you for the input. I'm so sorry for putting your family through that, and be like, that's fine. If you don't want it, that's okay. But I'm gonna keep this book, and I want to give her the option of keeping this heirloom, not a book of Jesus, but an heirloom, because she still wants to pass it down.
Yeah,
whether his intention is to spread the word of, well, whether her intention is to spread the word of God or not, her want to keep the family tradition going and spreading all these books for generations to come. She's like, I don't want this book to die with me. I want it to stay in the family. And she made it clear that she wasn't going to have kids. She's like, I want you to at least keep it for future generations and pass it down. I don't want this book to get lost when we've had it for so many generations for so long.
I just think, again, the fact that, even the fact that she had to offer herself and be like, okay, I'm going to take it back. And they were like, no, but we don't want it. We don't want her to have it at all, whatever. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like, okay, if you're the parent and you don't want your kid to have it, then you throw it away.
Exactly.
Why are you making your sister responsible for this? Mm-hmm. So, damn if she does, and damn if she doesn't.
I don't understand, like, from the parents' point of view, like, if they're so uncomfortable with this book, why didn't they just take the necessary precautions to be like, okay, well, whatever, she already gave it to us. Let's donate it. Let's get rid of it. Let's, take it out of the house if we really don't want it. Why would they go back and throw it in the sister's face and be like, well, you can take it back, but you're not going to take it back if you're just going to give it to her later. Uh-huh. Or like, no, we don't want you to keep it regardless. Like, I just don't understand.
Something doesn't add up.
Something doesn't add up.
With the sister and the brother-in-law.
Because regardless, all three of them are atheists. And the sister knows that the other sister's atheist, so why is it such a big deal?
Yeah, why are you placing such a big thing on her?
There's a little espina there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but there's a thorn in there, and I don't know why.
I don't know why either, but I don't think that she's the asshole, and I'm just like, wow, what a grandma, whoever it was, come to that. She passed down Jesus, whether they're fighting over Jesus right now or not, pero somebody in their generations to come, somebody will know about Jesus, and is going to be touched by it. Y like, la palabra has power.
It does.
And faith comes from hearing the word of God. And so maybe they're atheists now, but who knows? Maybe they just need to sit down and read the book and have an encounter with Jesus and see that, man, it's just such an amazing thing to know about him and like just experience his love and receive his love and forgiveness and mercy, and it's just like an amazing thing. Again, it changes lives. It changed my life for sure. Changes Simon's life. Then he's Peter. Peter was, that's my dude. So
he was one of the OGs.
Yeah, he's one of the OGs. I really like Peter from the disciples. He was kind of wild. He was passionate. I don't know.
You're like I can relate to him.
Le cortó la oreja a he was on the south side of the kingdom too. So we want to encourage you to share Jesus with everybody that you know. Your boss, your co-workers, your sisters,
friends,
your brothers,
your family members.
Whoever that you can share Jesus with, share them. You never know that moment, that action that you take can really change somebody's life. From like this old creation, whoever they were in the past, to a new creation in him. And man, that's just like an amazing thing to know that you were part of that story. You were part of that testimony. So, have an amazing day. Share Jesus. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.